What is crackin', everybody? Hello and welcome back to Gaming 101 with Mr. Berger. You know what? Let me try something real quick. That's better. That's right, guys. After a few of my loyal subscribers recommended that I get a better webcam, I finally went ahead and made the leap and invested a little bit of money in this nice Logitech HD webcam. It's got 1080p potential, so it's definitely a lot better quality, so I hope that you enjoy it. Now, I'm still getting used to the lighting and everything. I know my lighting's terrible, but either way, it's a lot better quality, so now you can see all the, pores on my ugly face and this nice, wonderful, ugly scratch and all that amazing stuff. Anyway, before we get on to the main video tonight, which is going to be a good one, I promise you, I have a special request from you guys. I want to do a video on 5 or 10 things that Clash Royale needs. Now, I already have 2 or 3 of my own, and these are things that I've made successful Reddit posts on before, but I wanted some recommendations. I've asked my clanmates, I've put it out on Twitter, and now I'm asking you guys. So if you have any suggestions, 5 or 10 things, or even just 1 or 2 things that you think that Clash Royale needs, go ahead and leave those suggestions in the comments section below. Of course, you can always contact me on Reddit or on Twitter, or, over here, you can contact me on Facebook or on Instagram, whatever you prefer. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get on to the main video. Alright guys, so tonight's video is going to be on this Magic Archer Battle Ram Bridge Spam deck. So I was about to say P.E.K.K.A, but it doesn't have a P.E.K.K.A in it. There's no P.E.K.K.A in this Magic Archer deck. This is just a Magic Archer Bridge Spam deck with a lot of legendaries in it. That's one thing that I want to make note of, is that this is not a very free-to-play friendly deck, because it definitely has quite a few legendaries in it. But I'm definitely going to give you guys some suggestions for replacements for those legendary cards later on in the video here. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about how I came across this deck and the mechanics behind it, and then we'll get on to all those other things. So first of all, this is like a new meta version of it. I think that this one, again, I found on either Royale API or Stats Royale or something like that, and it seemed pretty cool. I liked it. I was looking and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play Magic Archer because I want to practice how to use the Magic Archer. And I got a lot of, experience in these matches. Just learning how to play him and learning the different mechanics. And, just kind of figuring it out and improving on his placement. Because placement is huge for the Magic Archer. It's a card that a lot of people think needs a buff. But it's more of a very, very high skill cap card. So you really need to learn all the perfect placements. And there's just other replacements that cost a similar amount and play a similar role. They're just generally easier to use, and there's nothing wrong with using those cards. I mean, if they're a little bit easier to use, it's better for you, right? Smaller learning curve. Alright, so anyway, getting back to this deck in general, I have done a lot of bridge spam decks. It's one of my favorite archetypes, and it kind of fell off the map for a little bit. It was really strong a little while ago, especially when the Dark Prince was just viral, like he was crazy, it was everywhere. There's definitely a lot of bridge spam decks at that point, including the Dark Prince. So I really liked it a lot at that point, and like I said, it kind of fell off. And recently it's seen a little bit of a resurgence with some variations to it. So this is one of the ones that I've seen on those websites that I was talking about, and it's pretty legit, honestly. I've had some fun with it. It takes some getting used to because it's got some tricky cards in there and some high risk, high reward cards, like the Lumberjack. But it's pretty fun, and it's very powerful. I think it has a lot of potential. So this one, again guys, this is not very free to play friendly, because it does have, looks like, 4 legendaries in it, as you can see over there. But if you do play it and you do have that Magic Archer, it is a great deck to help you learn the mechanics of that Magic Archer, because it's very aggressive, and you can learn how to place him to support your pushes, or use him on defense, and then to successfully use him to counter push pretty well with this deck. So definitely give this deck a try if you've unlocked him and you're looking for a good one to kind of roll through the matches and get you a better feel for how to use that Magic Archer. Now naturally, as a bridge spam deck, this deck is going to be really aggressive. So that being said, you don't want to just spam everything at the bridge. I know that that sounds silly because I just call it a bridge spam deck, but that doesn't mean that you literally just spam at every moment possible and use all your elixir aggressively like that. You want to use it strategically, and you want to try to play defense, play a good defense, and then use those remaining cards to provide a counter push or support for a counter push. You got the magic archer. He can stay alive in the back for a really long time once you learn his placement. You can snipe towers with him, with all those things continually supporting him in front of him. So he's a really great card in this deck. And then you got the Royal Ghost kind of as your mini tank. Of course, you got the Inferno Dragon to kill tanks. And then for the aggression, you got your Lumberjack rather than like a Dark Prince or something. And you've got your Battle Ram for the really aggressive bridge spammy factor. And you got a mini tank in there as well on top of the Royal Ghost, and that's the Ice Golem. So this deck with the Ice Golem and the Battle Ram has a lot of kiting potential, and I think towards the end of the video here I'm going to show one of the earlier matches in a challenge that I did, and it's just kind of funny because it shows an example of all the different kiting potential that this deck has with that Battle Ram and with that Ice Golem in there as well. Alright, let's get back to what I wanted to talk about here. So yes, naturally it's really aggressive, but you do want to play defense. You want to try to gain that elixir advantage, and then that's when you place stuff aggressively at the bridge and really go for a big push. And of course, once you get into double elixir, then you can play a little bit more, or a lot more aggressively, and play stuff at the bridge more. And you'll see quite a few times, although this is kind of like a bridge spam, or it is a bridge spam and it is a kind of fast-paced deck, you can see oftentimes I'll go into double elixir time, and that's when I really shine. And even though I've lost one tower, I may come back and get the 3 crown win. I think I did that in 1 or 2 replays here. We'll try to figure out as the video goes on here. Alright. Now, one thing that I really want to point out is the Lumberjack. His rage effect. It can be great for this archetype. Now, you could, just put rage in there, but that's a full slot dedicated to rage. And, decks that run rage, it's like you really need to have that particular synergy that calls for that 2-cost spell. Like, he's running a balloon deck, and rage combos really well with balloon, for example. But having that Lumberjack in there, he plays a really powerful defensive role. He can absolutely destroy, tanks and support on defense, especially if he has something tanking for him, like the Ice Golem. And then on top of that, he's really speedy. He runs really quick naturally, and he doesn't have any sort of a charge-up effect like a Prince or a Battle Ram. He just naturally runs really fast, right? So he'll run in, and that plays well to your advantage with this archetype, with it being, a bridge spam and an aggressive deck. Of course, you want something that's really fast that kind of complements the archetype in the deck overall. And on top of all of that, the little cherry or the little cookie on top is that he provides that rage effect. And that rage effect can be really powerful for pretty much everything in this deck. I mean, a Magic Archer Rage shoots so quickly and does a ton of damage. And of course, just having that aggressive deck, that rage effect just makes everything even more aggressive. The Battle Ram charges up quicker, and the Barbarians do more damage, so on and so forth. Oh, and don't forget the Inferno Dragon. If the Inferno Dragon is raged and locks onto a tower, that tower is as good as gone. Oh, absolutely hilarious watching Inferno Dragon just melt a tower. Alright guys, let's talk briefly about opening moves. So you can definitely cycle the Royal Ghost in the back. That's one of the things that I like to do. And I generally kind of play defense. You'll see that I cycle the Magic Archer in the back a lot, but I'm learning more and more not to do that. And again, I haven't played this deck too much, so I still am working out the mechanics of it and everything. But the reason that I'm saying that is because, as you saw there, they just fireball the Magic Archer every time. And a lot of people are running Fireball. So you could cycle your Ghost in the back. Cycle Lumberjack if you need to. I wouldn't recommend cycling Inferno Dragon because you want to save him as a kind of surprise card to counter whatever their heavy unit is that they might have. If they have a Giant or a Golem or a P.E.K.K.A. You don't want them to know that you have the counter, the hard counter, until they place that P.E.K.K.A. down, and then you can use it more effectively. Careful, like I said, cycling the Magic Archer. I wouldn't play aggressively as an opener. That's something that I would not recommend with this deck, although it is an aggressive deck and it is a bridge spam deck. You want to kind of play defensively, if that makes sense, to gain that elixir advantage, and then use that elixir advantage to build up this big push, and then go across, wait till your units cross the bridge, and that's when you go for that big push and try to take out their tower. So a lot of people like to hang on to their cards and not play anything at all. Wait till their opponent plays stuff and then respond accordingly. I'm not a big fan of that. I like to cycle stuff, at least in the back, because I feel like I don't like leaking elixir. I feel like it's good to just, if you have that 10 elixir, just spend it on something. Personally, that's my personal play style. Get something on the board. because then you have the potential to build up an elixir advantage right off the bat. But you know, a lot of people and a lot of pros do this, so maybe, you know, I have something to learn from them. They hang on to their cards and they don't play anything until they see what their opponent plays and they answer accordingly. So this might be a good deck to use that strategy if you like to do that. But whatever is best for you. Just keep in mind, don't play too aggressively as an opener. Like, don't battle around at the bridge as an opener generally. I would generally recommend playing a little bit more passively to open with. Alright guys, really quickly here, legendary replacements. Inferno Dragon. If you don't have the Inferno Dragon, of course you could always just get the Inferno Tower. It doesn't give you that tower melting potential, but it does play a similar role in the fact that it just absolutely melts tanks. You know, it has that same Inferno Beam effect. So you could do that. If you want unit rather than defensive structure, because this is a bridge spam deck, maybe Mega Minion. Mega Minion's a good go-to replacement for Inferno Dragon, because it's another beefy, high HP air unit that costs a similar amount of elixir, Inferno Dragon being 4, and the Mega Minion, of course, only being 3. So it plays a very similar role to the Inferno Dragon. It's kind of a tank killer, or more of a support killer. It doesn't kill tanks as well, but it absolutely wrecks, you know, like Musketeers and Wizards and things like that. Now for the Lumberjack, a go-to replacement is always going to be the Mini P.E.K.K.A. You know, it costs the same, hits really hard. Anything that you like, this is a heavy hitter of a similar cost, you know, that costs like 3 or 4 elixir, you could put in there. If you don't already have the Mega Minion there, maybe you could put the Mega Minion in there. But my go-to replacement for the Lumberjack is probably going to be the Mini P.E.K.K.A. If you don't have the Dark Prince in there, Dark Prince is a classic bridge spam unit, so you could probably put the Dark Prince in the place of the Lumberjack if you absolutely wanted to. Maybe even Valkyrie. But I was going to get to that as another replacement, I believe, for the Royal Ghost. So for the Royal Ghost, yeah, that was one of my go-to replacements, is going to be the Dark Prince. That is because a number of reasons. Similar elixir cost, right? Dark Prince only costs 4, and Royal Ghost only costs 3. And they both are melee units. They both have splash damage and are slightly tanky. Of course, the Royal Ghost has that unique invisibility effect, so if you do have them, or him, I would highly recommend playing the Royal Ghost. Now for the Magic Archer, if you're looking for a replacement for the Magic Archer, you probably would do another support card. If you have the E-Wiz, like if you have that guy unlocked but you don't have the Magic Archer unlocked, I think he'd be decent in a bridge spam deck. Old school bridge spam decks ran Night Witch, so hey, maybe try that out. But I would say go for like another kind of ranged unit. I just feel like if you're going for a similar deck to this, like you've got all the other cards but you want to replace the Magic Archer with something, you want something else that kind of has long range, like a Musketeer, or even a Wizard, maybe even an E-Wiz. If you run like Dark Goblin or Princess, ooh, Flying Machine. I just thought of that right now. Flying Machine would be awesome in this deck for sure. Yeah, try Flying Machine in the place of Magic Archer. But getting back to what I was saying, Dark Goblin or Princess, if you run one of those two in the place of your ranged unit in here in this deck, the only problem with that is that's your only really like loggable card. I mean, they may log your battle ram from time to time. That's not too big of a deal though. So that's my problem with running Dark Goblin or Princess. So that's pretty much the card replacements. Of course, if you want to run Poison in the place of Fireball, or Log in the place of Zap, or what's the other card? Battle Ram, you know, you could do Dark Prince or something. Ice Golem, you could always do Knight or Valkyrie, right? Another mini tank. I just didn't want to spend too much time talking about replacements for the regular cards. But I wanted to, of course, mention replacements for the legendaries. So, for these last few replays here, guys, that's pretty much it for strategy. So, I just want to kind of run through these replays and give examples of the decision-making that I make. And in this particular video, the replays that I played earlier were the later on ones in the challenge. And as I go through the video, it's the earlier on ones in the challenge. Does that make sense, right? So, like, you know, the earlier matches in the 12 win, or in the 12 match run. I didn't get 12 wins by any means, not with this deck yet. Not yet, still got to work on it, still learning it. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is that the harder matches were done earlier this time, and I think that the reasoning behind that was because I thought, okay, more people generally watch towards the beginning of the match, or the beginning of the video, so I'll put the better replays there. Regardless, I get some fun replays at the end here, really solid comeback. And then there's that fun kite replay that I told you guys I wanted to include. So here, of course, I lose that left tower, and it's looking pretty deadly, but I just get the Inferno Dragon, because if you see, what I was thinking there is that, like, nothing on the ground that he has there can attack air units, so I'll just put that Inferno Dragon there to finish them off. Now the Royal Ghost is probably going to connect to that Magic Archer, but I placed the Lumberjack right in front to catch his attention, because remember, the Magic Archer, like just like anything else, will not target the Royal Ghost until it comes out of its invisibility. So I got the Lumberjack there to kind of attract him out of his invisibility. At this point I'm just kind of being aggressive. I use the Fireball aggressively, and that's something that I was a little bit iffy about, but I'm like, okay, I've got a lot of health left on both my towers, and it actually finished off that E-Wiz up there, if I'm not mistaken. And look at the Magic Archer, I use him kind of in the back right corner there, just to give him that potential to stay alive for a long time, and at this point I'm really just cycling back to Fireball. So let's go ahead and cycle through this replay and finish it up there. There's that Fireball. Alright, give him a GG. Now this guy here kind of had a bit of a funky deck, but regardless I thought I would share it because it gives a good example of the comeback potential that this deck has. Now guys, I spent a little bit more time learning this deck because I had a little bit more time at the moment when I was learning how to do this deck than I do with some of my other ones. So it's nice because I got the chance to kind of get the hang of it a little bit better and learn the Magic Archer a little bit more. Now here, let's see what I do as an opener. You can see that I cycle the Royal Ghost in the back. I use the Magic Archer and I try not to place him where he's susceptible to being fireballed and also hitting the allowing the enemy to hit the Princess Tower with the Fireball at the same time. So he stays alive for a long time. And that massive range really gives him the potential to really stay alive for a really long time. Now I actually distract the Mini P.E.K.K.A for a second there with that Battle Ram, but it doesn't do too good of a job. It's like one swing for the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Now what I want to do here, you can see the Inferno Dragon was used on defense there. Now that he's flying across the map, I want to make sure to support him, provide some kind of support so that he's not just wasted. He's not just flapping across the arena for absolutely no reason. Alright guys, so there we can see that the Ice Wizard, he pretty much just melts there to the Magic Archer, and again, I want to use that Magic Archer, I want to get some value there. So I send in the Lumberjack to try to be like a little bit aggressive and allow the Magic Archer to try to connect to the tower and be a little bit more deadly rather than him just being wasted. Now I use the Inferno Dragon as a kind of last resort to counter that Hog. You'll notice that I didn't really have any other solid answers to the Hog in my deck right there. So there goes my tower, and it isn't looking so good for me at this point because, sorry if you hear grunting, that's the dog down there. Yes, she agrees, it doesn't look so good for me at this point because I lost that tower and his tower had full health. Both his towers had pretty much full health still. Now it looks like that Battle Ram or something connected there, and the Inferno Dragon unfortunately doesn't. He uses the Bandit a bit aggressively. The Bandit doesn't get the charge effect in, and I'm able to use the Lumberjack and the Royal Ghost to kind of play a little bit of defense here. And at this point, since I'm in double elixir time and I know that I need to get that tower down to stay in the match, this is when I really start playing more aggressive and I really go for that bridge spam kind of build, or bridge spam playstyle. I connect to the Tesla with the Battle Ram, and then I get the Lumberjack in there to finish off the Valkyrie, and the Lumberjack just goes ham and just connects to the tower there, and then the Inferno Dragon connects to the tower with the Rage. So you can see that's a good example of how that Rage Inferno Dragon just melts a tower. Like you thought an Inferno Dragon already melted the tower, imagine an Inferno Dragon that's Rage. It's just crazy. So at this point, I need to stay in the game a little bit longer. Got the Inferno Dragon coming down the lane. I use the Battle Ram there to kind of distract the Valkyrie and that Bandit so that the Bandit doesn't charge to my tower. Battle Ram dies before it connects to the Tesla, which is unfortunate, but I do have the Inferno Dragon, I got the Lumberjack, and then I placed down another Inferno Dragon and Royal Ghost and the Ice Golem and everything going in there. And you can see that the Fireball takes out the minions there. I got two Inferno Dragons, both raged, so anything that he places down is pretty much going to get melted here if it's not a swarm unit. And then the Battle Ram is going to connect to the tower here. The one Inferno Dragon was locked onto the tower, but unfortunately it dies there. Use the Lumberjack on defense, and then again he comes over on offense there because he runs so quickly. He's able to provide that counter push just in time. And then, he connects to the tower, and that's pretty much GG. Lumberjack, not only does it provide that rage effect, but his DPS, if he connects to a tower or a tank, his DPS is absolutely insane. Alright guys, this is the last one, and I promised you this one. And my apologies to Kate up there. I promise I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything. I'm just trying to show the huge kiting potential that this deck has. Now, you have two units in here that give you huge kiting potential. Those units are the Battle Ram, one, and the Magic Archer. Nope, just kidding. The Ice Golem, right there, is the second one. So the Ice Golem, and the battle ram, they both charge. Of course, this is before the battle ram bursts into the two barbarians. They both go for enemy buildings only, so they'll ignore enemy troops. So if you place them just one tile to the left of the center of your side of the arena, then when units are coming down the right lane, just as they're coming down the bridge, like big, slow, heavy units like a P.E.K.K.A. or a giant skeleton in this case particularly, then those heavy units will chase your silly little battle ram or your ice golem down the lane. And you can see that what I can do is kite the P.E.K.K.A. or in this case the giant skeleton from the bridge, in the right bridge, excuse me, all the way to the left bridge, up into the opposite lane, back into the enemy side of the arena with the ice golem, and then as it's coming back down, you can use the battle ram just one tile to the right of the center of the arena to allow that giant skeleton to be chased, or to cause him to chase your battle ram actually back into the right side of the arena. And at that point, you have the support of your princess towers and whatever else you have down, and you know your inferno dragon too, to absolutely just obliterate whatever you're kiting. So look here, look at that giant skeleton. See, he gets chased all the way to the left, and then in this case he's sniped, and he's sniped by the inferno dragon and by that magic archer. And guys, you can see this is another great example of the massive range that the magic archer has and the huge potential that he has. Now he's highly based on his placement. Like where he's placed makes a huge difference, but he does have huge range. So if you place him kind of near your king tower, then when you're kiting those heavy units with your battle ram and your ice golem, then he stays alive and just snipes from the back and provides a bunch of support and damage. And you can see here he snipes the skeletons, or he actually snipes the prince and chips away and destroys the skeletons too. But as the prince, you know, changes locations, the magic archer's direction of his magical arrow changes as well. So that makes it so that he might miss some of the skeletons. And it's a very thin width, I guess, so it doesn't hit things in a very wide radius. It's a very small, very thin radius. Now the lumberjack connects there with one hit on the tower, and I just finish it off with the fireball, and that's pretty much GG, and that's the end of that. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you rage at me on Reddit. You can tweet me on Twitter. You can, what did I say before? Oh, inspect me on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook. And make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section below about your ideas for that video that I talked about at the beginning. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that stereotypical YouTube stuff. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good night.